So you performed today at the Paley Center, and I wasn't aware this was, I guess, an Australian awareness and Daniel Merriweather awareness event. Can you tell me a little bit about the event today?
Yeah, look, we're just here today to celebrate Australia.
Woo.
No, it's Australia. I actually didn't know it existed. That it's apparently Australia Week, and I'm an Australian, and so it was fitting for me to play. I had an amazing time though. I was, to be honest, expecting more people to be like belligerently drunk, holding Victorian bitter in their hand, but unfortunately that didn't happen. Or fortunately, who knows? Maybe
at the Troubadour show on Wednesday that'll happen.
Yeah, well, if it's still Australia Week, yeah.
What is Australia Week?
I don't know. I should know. I really should. But it was. I think it's just, you know, we're trying to build awareness. We're so far away.
Yeah, I mean that
just
is
trying to put ourselves on the map. You know.
Is it a struggle? I know you don't live in Australia now, but a lot of Australian artists, they do have trouble sort of, like UMI is a perfect example. Like, aren't they huge down there? And they're not. It's hard for Australian artists to break out into this hemisphere, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, we're so far. I think things are changing now because of the internet and because of, I mean, you know, KCRW as well. Like, you know, they're playing like the Temper Trap and a whole bunch of Australian bands, Cut Copy, all that kind of stuff. And I think it's now kind of changing. There's a lot of, you know, I think good music now has the avenues to be able to get out. But yeah, I guess prior to the internet, you know, it's a 23-hour flight to America. It's like, it's far away. So we're very insular in our music. But through that insularness, I guess it's kind of interesting what comes out of there, because there are so many different types of music, you know, from America and England and from Australia that artists are influenced by. So we get this kind of, I guess, like it's sort of like a musical melting pot in a way, you know. And so you get these really amazing bands like you know, I just mentioned before, but the Temper Trap, and people who come out with these like really kind of unique sounds. So it's kind of cool in that sense.
Now, in the U.S., you're probably best known for your collaboration with Mark Ronson. How'd that come about, and is he involved at all in your album coming out in February?
Yeah, he produced the album. He produced Love and War. We were in the studio for a good sort of 8 months doing it. The Dap Kings played on the album.
Awesome.
And yeah, I mean, Mark's a good friend of mine. We've been working together since, you know, I mean, for the last sort of 7 years, you know, so we're good mates, and we're always sort of, you know, collaborating whenever we can. I know he's working on his new album now, so we're definitely like, yeah, we didn't fall out over keys, you know, time signatures or anything.
When you did the Smiths cover song,
very petty.
Yeah, it would be very petty. It'd be sad if your friendship of 7 years
just
ended
fell
over
apart
that.
Because I wanted it in 3/4 and he wanted it in 4/4.
It's a deal breaker. But when you did that Smiths song, the Smiths cover for him, it actually was the single out here, and probably the thing he's most best known for here. How did it feel to sort of taking on Morrissey is not an easy thing to do?
It's not, and I kind of walked into it pretty blindly as well. I didn't really know. You know, I didn't really have a good understanding of how much of a cult following and fan base he had until I did it and got death threats.
No.
And when I got death threats, I was like, oh wow, like I feel like Morrissey fans are almost, they're as like hard and cutthroat as like MOP fans. Like, if you do not touch Morrissey songs. So it was cool because when we did the song, you know, I think Mark was actually a lot more nervous and aware of like the fact that it's sort of, you know, very sacred territory. So he was concerned about how it would be received, and he sent it to Morrissey, and Morrissey and Johnny Marr really loved it. So that was kind of like, you know, that was lucky, because if they hated it,
the death threats would
they would have been from Morrissey.
From Morrissey himself.
He's a dangerous guy.
So Mark Ronson produced your album Love and War that comes out February 23rd?
23rd, yep.
Can you describe the sound? Is it similar to what we know you've done with him in the past?
I mean, I try not to describe sounds.
Yeah.
I feel like they're better just listened to. But I think that, you know, I'm really influenced by everything. Like, I grew up, you know, listening to everything from, you know, D'Angelo to A Tribe Called Quest to, you know, Jeff Buckley to Ray Charles, you know, Boys to Men was the first album I ever bought when I was 10 years old, and they taught me how to sing. You know, Cooley High Harmony was my first album. So I'm influenced by so much stuff. So when I sat down and wrote Love and War, I really just wanted to write a bunch of songs. I wanted to kind of throw genre out the window and just write from a really honest place. And then the Dap Kings came on board and played all of these songs that I'd written. And the cool thing that happened was that they don't normally play songs like the ones that I write. So there was this sort of, you know, amazing sort of juxtaposition that happened, and like a lot of happy accidents. So it was a really fun album to make, and of course with Mark's production, you sort of can't go wrong. I mean, he's an amazing producer, you know. But yeah, we kind of just started from basics, and we wrote. I wrote a bunch of songs, and I brought them in, and then we kind of just did it how you kind of imagine it was done, you know, 50 or 60 years ago, which is going to a studio with a bunch of great musicians and, you know, record everything without the use of a computer, you know, because computers are, you know, they're great, but they can be dangerous.
They can sort of sanitize things, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think Binky Griptite from the Dap Kings, the guitarist in the Dap Kings, said this inside one of his album sleeves, and he said, you know, the music from the 60s and 70s, in the 60s, late 60s and early 70s, we had just enough technology to record music, but not enough technology to fuck it up. And I think that's like so true. It's like
very true. So one last question I have is, obviously Mark Ronson was very instrumental in making Amy Winehouse a really big star here, and she sort of ushered in the U.S. this wave of kind of like new soul singers, blue-eyed soul, whatever you want to call it, like Adele, Duffy became very accepted here. But I haven't really seen a male voice in that movement, and I'm kind of thinking you could be it. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's, you know, Amy's got brown eyes, I got blue eyes. I mean, who knows? I kind of like, I mean, it's weird. Like, I don't categorize myself in the same bracket as her. I think she's influenced by very different music than me. She was heavily influenced by sort of, you know, a whole bunch of jazz and then, you know, early 60s girl groups. I'm influenced by a whole bunch of different music, probably more slightly towards the blues side of things. But I feel like, you know, for me, it's just, I just love making music. I'm not ever really trying to like work out where I fit into the scheme of things. I just want to keep playing live and having fun, you know.
Cool. Well, judging by today, you're doing a good job with that.
Thank you.
So thanks for your time, and have a good time while you're in LA. I guess it's sort of like our seasons of Australia are happening here in LA right now. It's summer-ish here.
Yeah, I mean, it's always sort of summer here, isn't it, really?
Almost.
Is it?
Not always. It is a myth, but you came at a good time.
All right. Well, I love it here. I want to come back soon.
Cool, please do.
I will.
And thanks for your time.
No worries.